Good afternoon. So, another season's upon us. So, first of all, good to see everyone. Thank you for coming out. Obviously, this is a very exciting time for us and for our program as we can get started with the season officially. And, we've been able to have 4 practices in 3 days. Today is actually a day off to meet with the media and take some pictures. Our guys are very excited. We have a young group. We have a lot of new faces. And we're very excited to attack the year. So with that, I'll open up any questions.
Coach, last year was about kind of setting things up and building culture and all that stuff. And this year, you're more, settled. Has that led to a better start in practice and a better kind of transition for you guys?
Yeah, I think we're more established really in every respect. Although we're younger and we do have a lot of new faces, I think with the staff and with the structure and what we try to do on a daily basis and what we believe in as a program, I think that's been embraced and understood from everybody in our program from day one. And when you have that type of cooperation, in general things can move faster and you can be better sooner.
Marquette Wire. Are you looking at transitioning back to a more man-to-man defensive approach this year?
Yeah, we ended up having to play multiple defenses a lot last year based on our personnel and based on the number of guys we had on our team. And my preference would be to play mostly man defense. But I still think there's going to be times this season where we do play some zone. So I don't know if we're going to be strictly one way or the other. I think our man defense will be better. I think our defensive rebounding will be better. But I also think we have to have the ability to change defenses when the game situation calls for it.
Coach, building off of that, what was the style of basketball that you wanted to play in the first half year? How does this incoming freshman class help you get closer to that?
Well, we wanted to play an attacking style on both ends, and I think the new guys on our roster and the maturity of some of the guys who are returning and experience they got from last season, I think we're a little bit more offensively gifted than we were last year. I think we have the ability to score the ball from really all 5 positions on the court, which at times wasn't necessarily the case last year. So I think we'll be able to push tempo, push the pace of play faster than we did last year. I think also because of our size, I think we have more depth. We can probably attack on the defensive end as well.
What do you kind of touch on it, but you kind of touched on it a little bit, but last year I think there was 11 games with 60 points or less. Where do you expect the scoring to come from? Who are the guys that you feel are going to step up and score?
Well, we have a couple guys who established themselves last year as productive scorers. Dwayne Wilson and Luke Fisher, both of those guys who showed really in their first year of college play for both of them, that they could be double-figure scorers. And we would expect that and more from them this year and to be even more efficient with their scoring. I think our younger guys will help in that. I think Henry Ellenson's a guy who can put the ball in the basket. Hanif Cheatham, Tracy Carter, those 3 guys in particular are guys who I think can either help somebody put the ball in the basket or score themselves. So I think we have more weapons on the offensive end than we did last year.
What do you think is fair for expectations?
Well, being around guys who are highly touted, playing with guys or coaching guys who came in with a lot of attention and who deserved a lot of attention through their high school accomplishments. For him, I think the best thing he can do is to throw himself in every day to get better. And you don't want to get caught up in the outside expectations, whether they're really good or really bad, because those things can come and go very quickly. What he needs to do is throw himself into being a college student, a Marquette player, and try to get better each and every day. If he's able to do that, he's got the talent and ability to be as good as really anyone in the country. Well, yeah, I think when you have younger guys tend to go through more ups and downs and more frequently than older, more experienced guys. And so There's going to be some times where our freshmen, you're watching them play, and you're seeing, who they could be as a player. And then there's going to be times that we all watch them and say, man, he was a real freshman today. And, I mean, that just comes with the territory. What we're hoping is that because they're going to be put in situations where they have to play early, those highs and lows turn into mostly highs.
Peter Giorgio, Marquette Wire. Coach, from the time you been with the team the first time this year until now, to this point today, who's been the most improved player?
Well, one of the neat things about this year's group is we were able to take a trip to Italy. So the first time with our team together, occurred really in the middle of the summer. And we were able to have 10 practices before we went overseas, and then we played four games against professional teams in Italy and Switzerland. And so we kind of got a season before a season. And I think a number of our guys have shown great improvement. I think from a leadership standpoint, I think Luke and Dwayne have made significant strides and also have embraced the responsibility of being a guy that shows up every day and not only impacts what we do from a production standpoint, but from an example standpoint and how hard you have to work and the things that winners do. I think on our trip to Italy, I thought from the time we got to Italy to the time we left, I don't think anybody improved more than Tracy Carter. And, he's the one guy on our team who has grown up playing the point guard position, although I think we have a number of guys on the team who can play it. It's not necessarily been their natural position since they were little kids. But the good thing is I think all of our guys have improved. I think Sandy Cohen's made a big jump. He's no longer a 150-pound freshman. He's gotten stronger. He's got more confident. And the time that he was able to play last year, I think he's used that to his benefit. So across the board, we've gotten better, but certainly we still have a long way to go. Well, I think it was huge. I mean, guys got to know each other at a much deeper level, not just on the court, because obviously that's important, but off the court as well, where the bonds that they created are bonds that run deep, and they got to know about each other's families, what they like, what they don't like, and they got to experience it together in a great country. And the foreign tour could not have gone better for us in that respect. It was a great basketball experience, and it was a great team bonding and chemistry experience for us, and hopefully that will pay dividends on down the line.
Coach, obviously the combination of Henry and Luke down low is pretty lethal offensively, adding Matt, but how does defense look for you guys down low?
Well, I think one of the things, we're going to be bigger at the basket. We have size at multiple positions around the basket. We should be a better defensive rebounding team. I think our size and length across the board, is better, and certainly Luke and Henry are a big part of that. I think those two guys, as they continue to learn to play together, can be a very dangerous combination. And in today's day and in college basketball, there aren't many teams that have guys approaching 7 feet that can play together. I think we have to continue to develop them, where we understand that they're a strength of our team on both ends of the floor, and learn how to play with them in order for us to reach our potential.
Coach, you mentioned that Carter's the only real natural point guard on this team right now. Do you have any idea who's going to start there, whether it's him or Wayne?
No, I mean, I think we're still, it's very early, 4 practices in. All of those guys will play there. To me, starting at times is overrated. But we have 3 guys who can play there, and I think play there well. And Tracy Carter, Hanif Cheatham, and Dwayne Wilson. All those guys, at one time or another, will be playing the quote-unquote point guard position. And at times, all 3 of them may be playing together. So, it gives you a little more depth at that position, which I like. He's got a good size for a combination guard. He's got a tremendous feel for the game. He's a really good passer. Because of his size, when he gets inside, he can finish when big people are around. But he makes the right play. and I think he's an easy guy to play with. Again, he can play multiple positions, and so he could play any of the three perimeter positions, and that's unusual too for a young guy.
What's the next step for Luke?
Well, me personally, I think Luke can be one of the best players in the country. I think Luke has to continue to embrace the physicality, the toughness that's required at that position. I mean, those big guys who are banging down by the basket, a lot of times it's hand-to-hand combat, and it's every night, day in and day out. And so I think he's more ready now to do that than he's ever been. He's been a very good leader for us. He's a great locker room guy. I think he can score with his back to the basket. He's a very good and willing passer. I'd like to see him continue to rebound more. But I'm very confident in the type of year that Luke's going to have.
John Hand, Marquette Wire. With such a highly decorated freshman class this year, is there extra pressure to perform well?
No, I mean, I think we always feel pressure. There's always pressure to perform well. And our team is not just our freshman class, although we're very excited about them. I think how we do, a lot of it's going to be what are the returning guys doing to set an environment and an atmosphere that's conducive to team success. We don't have a lot of guys who've been through a lot of different wars, so to speak, in college basketball. I mean, we have a pretty inexperienced team. But the guys who do have some semblance of experience, who have been in tough situations on the road, game situations, those guys need to create the atmosphere on a daily basis for these young guys to grow and to blossom as they're figuring it out. And I think that's something that our four older guys are looking forward to doing. Hopefully that gets accomplished.
What did you learn most in your first season here at Marquette as a head coach and carrying the mantle into the second season?
Well, I learned so much, and always in an evaluation mode on what we could have done better. I think it helps a year out to have a better idea of who exactly is going to be on your team, and hopefully not have to adjust on the fly quite as much as we did last year. But from everything from practice planning to pacing the guys during a season to calling timeouts in a game, everything is new because it was for me. So I feel much better than I did a year ago, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be with this group. They've had great attitudes. They've been enthusiastic. I haven't had to correct really any of them for things that are in their control. We've dealt with strictly teaching and getting better and building as a unit.
How much of an adjustment will it be with the rules changes?
Well, if things are called the way that they're saying they're going to be called, it's going to be quite an adjustment. I mean, it's almost like when the NBA, probably a decade ago, went to the freedom of movement, and that's where our game is theoretically heading. And so if those fouls are called, then there's going to be a big adjustment at the start of the season. There's going to be a lot of fouls called because the college game has been tremendously physical, both on the ball and off the ball. And if the main point of emphasis is to clean that up, that's going to be the toughest thing to adjust to, I think, for everyone. The clock, in my mind, is going to have minimal. I think it's going to have minimal impact. 5 seconds, it's not going to be that big a deal. The way the game is called, though, is a big departure from how it was. And I think that's going to be, whether you're coaching, playing, or watching a game, that's going to be the biggest thing to look out for.
Coach, Madden's still 3 days away. You got kids lining up, man. You feel more buzz this year than last year?
Yeah, I feel like there's a great deal of excitement. I think there's a great deal of excitement on campus as I walk around campus and the community. I think people are very excited. I think our guys have done a good job of building that excitement. The guys that we have coming back showed flashes of being really good. They're all in to what we want to do here at Marquette, and the young guys that we have coming in, give you plenty of reason to be excited about too. So, when I took the job, I knew there was going to be a process and there was going to be a transition. I like where we are along that process. We're much further along this year, as I stand in front of you for the opening press conference, than we were last year. And we understand we still have a lot of work to do. But in terms of the quality of kids that we have in our program, their desire to represent Marquette University and Marquette basketball in a first-class manner, I love where we are and the potential to where we could be headed.
Coach, this year's team features 3 walk-ons opposed to 2 last year. Any reason for this, and how are they going to impact the team this year?
Well, I don't want to practice, if God forbid we start getting injured again. Last year my coaches had to practice, so I promised them we'd have enough bodies where they could stay on the sidelines because their wives were getting mad at me for sending home tired coaches night after night. But, we're always on the lookout for guys who can help our program. Obviously scholarship guys, but walk-ons too, who add a lot. And, Michael Maki was with us last year, and he returns. And, he's been one of the best voices that we've had this year. And he's our only senior. So, and everybody has a chance to impact the culture positively, and Michael's a great example of that, even though he's not going to be a guy who's playing a lot of minutes.
What is Juwan Johnson's role?
Well, JJ, again, he's one of the guys who's been here for 2 years. I think JJ had his best summer since I've been around him. He's a guy that we're going to need, first and foremost, to be a guy who's a reliable defender on the perimeter. We have to be able to put him on the other team's best perimeter players and him give a great defensive effort. Offensively, he's very good in transition. He's at his best when he's attacking the basket. And we want him to look for more ways to do that and not settle for perimeter shots. We want him to be an attacking player, and I think that's where he's at his best, and those are some of the things that we've talked to him about. But, he's had a good summer. He's gotten stronger. He's been engaged. So, we will need him to be good.
Are the noon ball games still happening, and who's been winning recently?
Yeah. They've been happening, when it's recruiting periods, the heavy recruiting periods like September, they don't happen nearly as much. But it's a good way to stay in shape. It's cheaper than a therapist. And my team wins.
Coach, last year you stood up here and you discussed, tempering, players when there's outside expectations that really aren't up to your inside expectations. How do you deal with expectations from the outside now that they're definitely elevated compared to last year?
Well, we want high expectations. I mean, that's what we have internally. And so I don't mind, we want people to be passionate about our program. And we want people to have opinions and all of those things about what they think we can do. I don't mind that at all, high expectations or low expectations. The most important expectations for our group is what we talk about internally. And that's where we have to keep blinders to that. So whether we have high expectations and we start off the season like gangbusters and everybody's telling us how good we are, we can't then believe that. And the flip side is true as well. So our thing is to get better every day. Well, we have a young team that needs to build habits on the offensive and defensive end. And you do that through daily effort and grind. And so that's where our focus is. Are we better today than we were yesterday? And if we keep that as our focus, we have a better chance of reaching our potential, whatever that may be.
One change to the coaching staff in our season stands out and kind of what you felt about Coach Johnson and your expertise.
Stans has been a great addition to our staff, replacing Mark Phelps, who went to Arizona. Stan's been a long-time assistant in the business. He's one of the most respected young assistant coaches in the country. He's a terrific person. He's the kind of guy that you would want your kids around. He's got a beautiful family. He's a good person who knows a lot about the game of basketball. He really understands the game defensively. He's got a good voice where guys listen to him in practice, and he's a very good relationship builder. Whether that's with recruits, whether that's with the people around our program or with the kids in our program, and so we're very excited to have Stan. And he's been a great addition.
It's early, but do you have any idea what the strength of this team will be, or what you think they will be best?
I think we have a chance to be a team that can score. You know, I think we should have the ability to score the ball from multiple positions. We're a team that has a chance to establish an inside game and play off of that. But we could score from all five positions. You know, I think we can be a better rebounding team than we were last year, and I think we can be a better defensive team than we were last year. But we have a lot of work to get there.
Coach, you've got a young squad, and if you look at the non-conference schedule, it's obviously not the most star-studded. Was that by design?
Yeah, I mean, they're you know, again, you're making your schedule a year in advance, and at that time, when you're making your schedule and you have 6 guys on scholarship, 3 of whom are graduating, and another recruit that you had to let go of, you know, you don't know you have Tracy Carter or Sakar Amin. Things are a little different. You know, these things aren't done in a bubble, which is what I don't think a lot of people understand. However, when people ask who our first game's against, and I say Belmont, there's not been a coach I talked to who looked at me like, "Are you crazy?" You know, like, and then you follow that up with Iowa, then you're going to New Jersey and LSU, and then depending on how that game, NC State, who's an NCAA tournament team, Arizona State, which is predicted NCAA tournament team, and then at Wisconsin. I don't know. I mean, I think our schedule, you know, again, we don't play every team we play in the preseason is not going to be an NCAA tournament team, but we're going to play a number of teams who are. And so I'm fine with our schedule. I'll let other people debate about those things.
Coach, you have a unique situation with both the Allisons and others on your team. How do you plan on implementing them so that they can enhance the team, really, you know, make them better, that match program?
Well, I love both Wally and Henry, and I'm proud that both of them are part of our program. And you know, I look at them as individual basketball players. I mean, they're very different basketball players, but both can help our team. Obviously, Henry's a guy with a very unique level of talent and ability for somebody so young, and he will be a key player right from the start. Wally's a guy who is different than Henry. He is, you know, he's more of a perimeter player. He's kind of a blood and guts type player. You know, he's gonna, I think, get the crowd excited with his hustle, his energy, his willingness to give up his body for the team, and make those types of winning plays. And so I think both of them alone will give our team and the people who watch our team a lot of great moments and a lot of energy. And I don't try to group them together because each of them have to run their own race. I mean, for one of them, it's the first time he's ever played college basketball. The other one, it's the first time he's played in a number of years. So, but both of them are great kids from a great family who we expect big things from.